Hey there and welcome back to the 35th episode of Sims Sunday. My name is Pete and this is the series where we try to complete The Sims 3. In the last episode we did a lot of building and you can see a brand new home on screen right now. I plan on continuing to build smaller things each episode and I took your suggestions from the comments and already have one thing lined up for this one. Before we get into that, however, we have to take care of all of our Sims, starting with Patrick, who can continue to take his first approach into the gardening skill. And while he does, let's build him a garden. First, we can fence in a nice 6x6 area here. Put a fitting gate in. And then grab the sprinkler. The sprinkler is shown to be 5x5, but with good placement we can actually use it to water a 6x6 area, which allows us to maximize our gardening activities. I have also given the ground a dirt texture. I think that fits the overall theme of a garden quite nicely. And now, by using this flagstone floor, we can create a pathway from the garden to the house. That was something that many of you requested in the last episode. We can also build a small pathway inside of the garden and also connect the door to the garage. Now, I want to build a small area between the bushes and the garden. However, for that purpose we have to move over the bushes and the columns slightly. And we can get rid of this one and then place the teleporter back inside. Then we can use this flagstone on the entire area between the garden and the bushes and also extend it right up onto the house walls. The ground beneath the bushes once again gets colored in dirt, at least on this side. And then we can place a nice large bench here. We will of course use greatest style to recolor that and fit the overall theme of the house a bit better. And then we can add some lights around the garden. And switch back to live mode. One thing that we can see here is that puddles will begin to form on the floor tiles, but I don't particularly dislike that. Actually, I think it gives the sprinkler a nice touch of realism. While Patrick continues to harvest, inside of the house we have Paul, who had to get up before being well rested in order to have some breakfast and get to work on time. The ratatouille from the fridge seems to have gone bad, so let's have him stop eating that and grab some cake instead. With Patrick, we can then plant some of the higher quality harvests inside of the new gardening area, and that will lead to even better harvests once those plants are grown. Back with Paul, we can see the cake has also gone bad, but at least he has eaten enough so that his hunger bar is now no longer yellow, which means we can now send him off to work, disgusted but on time. With a promotion almost guaranteed, we will continue to practice writing today. That should bring us up to level 9 in that skill. And with all of the leftovers in the fridge going bad, we can now use Patrick to make something new, in this case a nice serving of waffles. With her carpool already waiting in front of the house, it is now time for Ayesha to get up and make her way off to work, well rested and with a nice long day of golf ahead of her. Patrick has finished the waffles, we can put them in the fridge here, and before he leaves for school he will quickly clean up the leftovers from Paul's breakfast. Then he can hop onto the school bus, and with his need for social interaction rising, we will have him talk to his friends at school today. With everyone out of the house, Pete has also made his way out of bed now and will start his day with the waffles that Patrick just prepared. While he's eating, we can see Ayesha's career opportunity cashing in. We get 2000 simoleons for our actions in the last episode where we went to City Hall to save a guy's life. After breakfast, Pete can take a quick shower. And while he does, we get the notification that Paul has already improved his writing skill to level 9, meaning that we can now switch him to Take It Easy for a boost in the fun bar. In the meantime, Pete cleans up and then sits down in front of the computer in the new work area, where he can work from home for the rest of the day. A short while later, we get an opportunity for Patrick, read a book to improve school performance. That is a rather straightforward opportunity with a nice reward, so let's take it. Then we can jump ahead to 2 PM, the end of the shifts for Ayesha and Paul, and also the end of the school day for Patrick. But let's stick with Paul for a minute. He has now received a promotion to Freelance Writer and is now in level 3 of the journalism career. He now has the option to write stories and reviews. The whole process behind that is very similar to the law enforcement career, and he is now also able to write articles from the computer as a new type of book. In the meantime, Patrick has made his way over to the lake near the school, and he will now fish for black goldfish until he has 15 of those. And Ayesha is back to her usual free time activity, running through town and collecting gems, rocks and metals. Paul has made it back home, and after a quick shower he is now scheduled to continue to write a biography. However, there seems to be an issue with the table, so let's quickly rearrange things. Alright, that seems to work. Now Paul can continue to write. And we can switch up the chairs so the computer doesn't block anyone eating. Over at the lake we can see Patrick has fulfilled his wish. That's 15 black goldfish in his inventory. And with the wish to visit a local pool, we can now have him stop fishing and send him over there for a quick boost of 250 lifetime happiness points. We can then send him back home and have him grab the mail. There is not much in there, just a few gems that we've been missing in our collection. And while Patrick now moves inside to do his homework, we can place those gems on display outside. Alright, seems like the table is once again causing issues. Let's do this. Let's send Patrick and Paul out of the way for a few seconds. Then we can move the table one tile to the right. Turn the stereo off so that we can move it as well. Put it in front of the other window here and build a workstation somewhat identical to the one we have already. Then we can continue to write with Paul and see that Patrick can still not use the chair. Alright, I've done some quick research, and the one thing that should fix this is if we just buy a new table with new chairs. So let's do that, sell the old one, put the new one in place, and that finally works. Alright, Paul has finally finished Grace Rosenthal's biography. We get some money for that and also an improved relationship between the two. And Paul can now go and grab a bite to eat. In the meantime, Ayesha enters the hospital to go after an opportunity we grabbed in the last episode. She will now hold a lecture, and that should provide us with a substantial cash reward. Alright, Patrick has finished his homework, and with a few hours until he needs to go to bed, he will now spend the rest of the evening reading bait books. Paul, on the other hand, will quickly move over to the neighbor's lot, where we will try to get him to do an interview. I mentioned earlier that writing stories and reviews is much like the law enforcement career. We can have Paul do an interview, or he could just dig through other people's trash. For today, we will stick to the more civilized method. We will have to soften Holly Alto up a bit before she agrees to do an interview, and the schmoozer trade helps a lot with that. Then we can quickly jump over to Ayesha, whose lecture has come to an end. We get 250 measly simoleons for that, and she will now analyze a few space rocks and then head home to send away a few things she collected. Back over with Paul, Holly has agreed to an interview, and we already get the lifetime happiness points for fulfilling that wish. She needs to take care of her bladder need first though. And now we can start asking questions. Back at home, Ayesha is busy sending away stuff. And while she does, we can have a look at her skill journal, and we can see that we have finally found all unique space rocks. We still need that one metal and that one gem though, so we won't stop collecting just yet. With everything sent away and not much else to do for the evening, Ayesha can now begin to hack, something we haven't done in a while, and who knows, maybe we'll make some cash. Switching back over to Paul, who already leaves Holly Alto's house again. We have finished the interview and are now able to write a story on her. We will have to do so another time though, as both Paul and Patrick are getting tired. So let's send Patrick off to bed. He has completed his first bait book and the second one can wait until tomorrow. And then Paul can go to sleep in the other one. Alright, a few hours after midnight, both Ayesha and Pete are also getting tired. We can have Ayesha stop hacking and also see that it's not the most worthwhile activity, as we just made a whopping 157 simoleons. Compare that to Pete, who just gave us a smooth 7000, and I think also for Ayesha we should stick to working from home. Now with all of our Sims in bed, we could make the cut here, but I would like to build one more thing, and that is a small pond right next to our garden. We can stock that with fish later on, and that will allow us to do all of our fishing right at home. We have to keep it relatively small though, because I have a few things planned to the right of it. Let's also add a bit of texture inside and around the pond. To get started with the decoration, we can first add some water lilies, and then a whole bunch of bushes, some rocks, and finally the ground textures to go along with them. We can also finish the pathway, both the one to the road and the one to the garage area. Then, to add a bit of lighting, let's add these floor lights in the parking area. They look quite nice, and they also kind of guide you towards the garage door from the road. And if we zoom out here, yeah, that looks just lovely. One final thing before we make the cut, and that's kind of a gimmick. Let's add a small fountain inside of our pond. Then we can switch to live mode, hit play, and doesn't that look beautiful? Our small home is growing every day, and I would love to hear your suggestions for the next episode. As you can see, we still have a ton of money left, and I would absolutely love to spend it. For today, however, I can say thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Cheers!